Big Rab Show podcast is kindly sponsored by G1 Reeds. They are the champion's choice, with many bands around the world playing G1 products, providing everything you'd need to hit the circle or the big stage. So, check out g1reeds.com as they keep the lights on here at the Big Rab Show podcast. Hello there, everyone, and welcome to another Big Rab Show podcast. Oh boy, another week has rolled round, or as it feels like to me, a fortnight has rolled round. It's been a wee while since I've been in my garage here talking with you guys. Because we had our on-the-ground report, I guess, from the UK Championships. Man, what an experience that was. There's a serious amount for me to unpack there about my first ever competition with a set of pipes under my arm, and yeah, that's a future podcast right there. I have made some notes, actually. I've made notes and everything about my experience, so I don't forget. That will be a future episode. But anyway, let's get into our introductions, shall we? Before we get into all of that stuff. If this is your first ever Big Rab Show podcast, then you are welcome. We are the show for the bagpiping folk, reflecting everything in the bagpiping world, be it Celtic music, folk music, or indeed our bread and butter, which is competitive piping and drumming. Each and every week we're here talking about what we know and love to be the music of the great Highland bagpipe and its people. And yes, like every other podcast under the sun, we do have a Patreon. If you are listening to us right now, you can check out your show notes. There's a big link there that just takes you right into our Patreon page. You can click on support and be part of the Patreon faithful. Yeah, you can be immediately awesome, you know, if you click on that button. And yeah, every click of support really does mean the world to us here. And yeah, there's a wealth of extras back there. So for your support, yeah, you get your mitts and all of those extras. Right. Let's get into this week's show good and proper. I have to say, if you haven't listened to the last couple of episodes of the Rab Show pod, you really should do. Last week's episode, yes, I know it was a very long one. It was over 2 hours long, but definitely worthy of your time. A serious amount of good music played there. And yeah, we have from the Tuning Park and the Grade 1 Circle. Yeah, there's a lot to unpack in that episode. And yeah, also it was my first competition as a bagpiper, a competing bagpiper, and my first time on the grass. And I don't think I really coherently got what I was feeling across on last week's pod. You can have a listen yourself. But I was clearly very nervous in the lead up to it, and afterwards I think I was just running on sheer adrenaline. Does that make sense? Probably not, but anyway, for those of you who've been asking, there's been a lot of questions and stuff asking about what it was like being in the circle. Did I have a good run? All of that kind of stuff. Well, did I have a good run? Yes, I guess I did. The pipe major was quite happy, and for me, that's job done. Personally, I don't think I made any huge big fluffs. Clearly, I'm not exactly ecstatic with my performance. I think there's tons I could definitely improve on, and the judging sheets definitely point that out, you know, that there is issues that we can work on to push ourselves into the prizes. But yeah, that's how competitive piping works, isn't it? It's about constant improvement. And yeah, I don't really want to be happy with my performance overall. I kind of want to be, well, there's an edge here that I need to work at. So, yeah, I've definitely got an edge that I need to work at, and plenty of work ahead of me. Yeah, so I have to give a shout-out again. I know I didn't really do it enough on last week's show, but a huge shout-out to the Tullylagan Band. It was just a pleasure being in the ranks and being a complete noob to all of this competitive piping stuff. But, yeah, they showed great patience and tolerance, I guess, as well. But yeah, what an experience. And yeah, I will be having lots more experiences this season, because I do plan to step out a lot more often with the Tullylagan Band now in Grade 4B. And yeah, we'll probably be talking about that later in the news and updates when we're talking about this weekend's Mid-Ulster Championships. Yoo-hoo! Anyway, so yes, for those asking about my performance with Tullylagan and my first experience, all of that stuff, we will be unpacking that in a future episode of the Rab Show podcast. All right? I have made notes, and I will be delving into that in detail, you know? So, that is to come. But for now, we're going to get into the nitty-gritty of this week's podcast. All right, now you've probably guessed by the title of this week's episode who we're going to be talking to. So yes, we're going to be catching up with Piper Alley. So stay tuned for those Piper Alley fans. It's quite a cool conversation, this one. But right, we have to get into all of the news and views from around the scene. There's been a lot happening, especially in the wake of the UK Championships. There's been a lot since then, and we've got a lot of ground to cover. So bear with us. We have to get through all of it, and there's a lot. Okay, so before we do, let's get into our listener mail, I guess. Yeah, bigrabshow@gmail.com. That address again, bigrabshow@gmail.com. That address has never changed, and you can always contact us at any point. So yeah, if you have any questions, queries, or comments, you can send them in to us. Right, let's get into the first one. This one comes in from Igor. It says, "Hi, Rab, can we have a reality check on the ticket prices?" Oh, straight out of the block, Igor. There we go. Yeah, no dilly-dallying. Can we have a reality check on the ticket prices? We almost never had several major events due to the lack of a financial model suitable for the modern reality. Yeah, that's true. 30 quid for a 2-day event? An absolute bargain. Okay, I can see that. Yeah. Had a quick look on Ticketmaster for folk concerts in August. And Jess Williamson is £17.50 for 3 hours. Yeah, whenever you put it like that, absolutely. Yeah, if you put it in perspective against other events, you have a very clear argument here. Moving on, he says, so with all the logistics, infrastructure, security and staff, 30 quid is, I already said, a bargain for 2 days. And this is not even considering the effects of inflation, which has, as everyone knows, run riot over this last few years. There you are. Morning time, Igor. Thank you very much, Igor. Now, yeah, that was some of the comments I got when we were talking about the World Championship ticket price. All right, I was telling you about the price rising, and it was seen by some in the piping world that, that's a bit steep, isn't it? Yeah, and we did talk about that, that if you pre-order them, they're not as steep, all right? But for those who pay on the day, then expect to pay, I guess. But yeah, whenever you put it like that, 30 quid for a 2-day event absolutely is value for money. Whenever you consider it against other events, like you just mentioned there, like a folk concert or a rock concert, I don't know, my daughter recently bought tickets to go and see a rock show in Dublin here in Ireland, and they cost her the guts of like 130, 140 quid, I think. So, yeah, that's just for one rock concert. As you say, the band will walk out on stage, play for a couple of hours, and yeah, that's you done. So for 30 quid for 2 days filled with blistering bagpiping, yeah, I have to agree. That is small fish in comparison to other events. Absolutely. So I will take my lumps on that one. Yeah. All right, let's move on. I've got another bit of listener mail here. This one comes in from Jim. He says, "Hi, Big Rab. Hope you're keeping well. I just wanted to let you know about a few upcoming events in the Midwest Pipe Band Association." Now, this comes from Jim Sim, and he has sent me quite a list here of dates rolling all the way through to the end of September. So they will feature in our future, dates for our diary. All right, dates for your diary. So they'll all go in there. Jim, thank you. He goes on to say, the Midwest Pipe Band Association Education Series has been going on since January with a Zoom seminar once a month. Ooh, I didn't know that, actually. Yeah. He said past seminars have been with Owen Russell on tenor drumming, two-parted strathspey and reels for grade 4 players with Bob Worrell. Ooh, that could be interesting. Also, he said one from Reed Maxwell on how to improve your drum corps, and Richard Parks on how to set up your band on the day of a contest. Oh, yeah, that one was good. I actually watched it. I think it was posted onto YouTube, actually. Anyway, let's read the rest of the email. It says, coming up on May 20th, which is behind us now at this point, is Jack Lee on Pembroke for amateur grades. There you go. That's interesting. Anyway, it goes on. So this is all free of charge, but registration is required. These seminars are all available on the MWPBA YouTube channel. There you go. As I said, yes, I caught that one actually from Richard Parks on how to set up your band on the day of a competition. Now, it did feature a Q&A section, and that was really valuable. People were able to ask Richard questions on his process. You say, okay, you said to play and set chanters for a certain period of time, and people were able to ask him, why? And it was so interesting hearing the theory behind it and how to approach a competition. Fascinating. So, yeah, Jim, absolutely brilliant, that education series. If you haven't checked it out, go and have a look at the MWPBA YouTube channel. Definitely worthy of your time for sure. All right. Moving on to the rest of Jim's email. It says, our prize money has really gone up for the 2024 season. The larger ones are the St. Louis competition with $12,700 in prize money. Yikes. He said Alma as well with $13,400 in prize money. And Chicago, right now, the Chicago games, $22,500 in prize money. Are you kidding me, Jim? That's insane. Anyway, let's move on. Huge amounts of prize money on offer here at Chicago. So, hi, we'll talk more about that as we get close to the Chicago games. But, yeah, looking at the prize money available, that's nuts. But that's a big incentive, for sure. He goes on to say, Chicago has been one of the largest band contests in North America for the last 2 years, with last year having 45 bands hitting the circle. Yeah. Grades 1, 2, and 3 all play in front of 8 judges, which is 4 piping, 2 ensemble, and 2 drumming. Now, that's an interesting one, isn't it? Yeah, we were talking about that. Yeah, possibly increasing the number of judges to... Yeah, that's an interesting one there. Yeah. So they also both play their MSR and medley selections as... Yeah, so it's a bit of a packed season for 2024 in the Midwest, I have to say. Yeah. So there you go. 8 judges. That's interesting. Right, let's move on. Jim's email continues. We have also added a couple of things for 2024. At most of our competitions, grades 1, 2, 3, and 4 will both play their MSR and medley selection for an overall aggregate prize on the day. There you are. We are offering a quartet competition for all grades as part of the morning solo events. That's interesting, a quartet competition. So a band's quartet can play in their own grade or 1 grade higher than their registered band grade. Wow, that's really put the cat amongst the pigeons there. That's cool. All right, I'll be following that. That's interesting. So this might create some fun results. Yeah, Jim, that's an understatement. So he goes on to say, now this is what I've heard this reported. Let's talk about this. He said, we will also have audio adjudication as part of the band events this year. Right, now I seen the headline on this. I think it was bagpipe.news that published the story here. But audio adjudication as part of this year's band events. Yeah. So it says the adjudicators will be speaking into a microphone with their comments instead of writing them on a sheet. Oh! Wow. That is... That's interesting right there. To hear the adjudicator actually speak their opinion instead of writing it down on scrawled handwriting in a sheet in the lashing rain, that would be interesting. So the band will hear themselves playing in conjunction with the adjudicator's comments on the recordings. Wow. It will be interesting to see how the bands and the adjudicators like this system. And we have also doubled our scholarship program to our amateur pipers and drummers. There's a lot of development there. But yeah, this audio adjudication thing, that's interesting right there. Imagine that, like you've just finished your performance, you've just played as, the best possible run you can, and then the judge comes on the mic and goes, okay, everybody, see what you just did there? That was crap. You had an early chanter, your drones are fouling, you have a burst head, somebody dropped a stick. That would be hilarious. Well, hilarious and not hilarious at the same time. I don't know. It'd be really interesting from a spectator point of view, actually hearing the adjudication process, because it would bring in the non-piping folk to say, well, okay, right, that's what judges are looking for here, and then they could start to listen to it themselves and start to do a bit of armchair judging, Very, very interesting here. So, yeah, normally the adjudication part of a competition, the general public don't really get to see that bit. All the bands tick their crit sheets and then head back to the band hall, and nobody ever really sees them apart from the band. So to have this, the audio, that is fascinating right there. Anyway, we'll certainly be following that. That's an interesting one. Okay, so moving on. Jim says, it should be an exciting year in 2024 as we're always looking for ways to increase the association's benefit to our membership, as well as piping and drumming in general. Yeah, let me know if you have any questions. Oh, here, Jim, you kidding me? We'll be keeping a track of everything from MWPBA. That was a huge email, but definitely worthy to bring it to the show. A lot of very interesting developments there from the Midwest Pipe Band Association there in the United States, and we'll be following those developments. You know, of course, with the 8 judges, with the 4 piping, 2 ensemble, 2 drumming, and how all of that works, but also the new quartet competition. That's interesting. But this audio adjudication, hey, you have me sold. What a great idea. Anyway, we'll be following all of that, of course, and yeah, we'll be updating you guys here in the pod as that unfolds. Yeah. Anyway, so if you guys do have your own weekly, weekly mail, or I was going to say weekly drone, we're about to get into that. But yeah, you can send us in your own listener mail, bigrabshow@gmail.com. That address again, bigrabshow@gmail.com. Send us in your own notes, of course, and anything that's been happening in the scene or, of course, here in the show. And yeah, we'll do our best to bring it to a future show. All right, let's move on. It's been a few weeks since we've had JD behind a microphone. So, yeah, it's about time we welcome him back, isn't it? So, JD, time to get back to it, lad. No more holidays for you. Right, let's hear this first weekly drone, shall we?
It's the weekly drone.
Pipe on, Big Rab. Pipe on. Let the naysayers be gone. In the Emerald Isle, where he roamed, Big Rab, the host of the famed podcast, decided to learn bagpipes, bold and free, to serenade us with melodic glee. His haters scoffed, their brows knit tight. Bagpipes? Oh, Rab, you've lost your mind. But Rab just grinned, his eyes a twinkle. Watch me, he said, and let the doubters wrinkle. He practiced in secret, moonlit nights, the drone's hum echoing through misty moors, and when the sun peeked o'er, he took to the circle, bagpipes under arm. Listen up, ye naysayers, Rab declared, his kilt swaying, cheeks flushed with pride. Behold my skill, my fingers deftly dance. These pipes shall sing, and ye shall be amazed. And so he played, the haunting lament, the joyous jig, the mournful battle cry. His haters silenced, jaws dropped low, as Rab wove magic with each breath he drew. Ah, he quipped, seems I've struck a chord. Perhaps it's envy that fuels your disdain. He winked at doubters, twirled his drumstick. Keep scoffing, friends, I'll pipe my way. As he did, as crowds gathered round, Big Rab's bagpipes echoing across the field, his haters muted, like a stifled drone. For Rab had mastered more than just the notes. He'd learned to silence critics with a tune, to turn their jeers into reluctant applause. And as the sun dipped low behind, Big Rab played on, triumphant and unyielding. So here's to Rab, the bagpipe maestro, sarcastic grin and tartan-clad defiance.
May his melodies soar, his haters retreat, and doubters learn. Never underestimate Big Rab. Pipe on.
Wow. Weekly Droner, what the heck was that? Wow. Whenever we received that in, and I initially read it before I sent it to JD, I was like, I read like the first 2 or 3 lines of it, and I thought, okay, this is like a poem thing. I'm not going to read the whole thing. I'll just send it to JD. And then JD sent us back the voice recording, and wow, is all I'll say. Bagpipe Maestro, no, I respectfully disagree with that. My fingers danced deftly, I think. No, I am just about playing 2/4 marches in grade 4B. I'm certainly not a bagpiping maestro. But yeah, silencing the haters with a tune. That bit is true. And there has been a few doubters out there saying, come on, you've been a drummer for too long, you'll not hit the circle. There has been a few messages like that, And I have already promised you that there might well be a future episode of Hater Mail after I made the announcement about me competing this year, playing in the circle. There was a few not so pleasant messages that were received. So be warned, there may well be a future episode of Hater Mail on this very subject. But yeah, to whoever sent in that weekly drone, we of course have absolutely no idea. There's no names, no identifying factors. It just landed out of the ether. To whoever sent that in, thank you. I'm incredibly flattered. It's just very, very cool. Thank you. And it's really encouraging, if anything. That as you mentioned there, those long nights practicing with the moonlight and everything sounded very poetic. But nah, it's me in my garage here playing tunes well away from the house so as not to disturb the wife and kids. But then, just me out here on my own trying to thump my way through a 2/4 march. And getting really frustrated with the opening 2 bars or something, or an ending phrase that I just can't get. Anyway, don't even get me started, but it's good to see that all those endless hours of practice have come to fruition, and I'm now in that circle and silenced a few haters with a few tunes. Yeah. So thank you, Weekly Droner. That is definitely very well received. Thank you. Very flattering. All right. Let's move on. We have another Weekly Drone, actually, and we figured we should catch up because it's been a wee while, so we're going to welcome JD back. Now, after that one, which was very mushy and, very gratefully received, let's get a bit of controversy on the go now, shall we? JD, I think it's time for another Weekly Drone, mate.
It's the weekly drone.
Regarding non-attendance at the March Past, it's increasingly frustrating when you hear silence at the prize giving due to Scottish bands flying home immediately after they play whenever there's a championship in Northern Ireland. For the one contest a year they attend in Northern Ireland, you would think an effort would be made to attend the entire event, given that Northern Ireland bands have to attend 4 championships in Scotland. I wonder why the RSPBA allow a dispensation for this.
There it is, the controversy. Normal service has been resumed on Weekly Drone. That's refreshing, isn't it? The attendance of pipe bands at a Northern Ireland major. Yes, we noticed this at the UK, that the UK's had quite a number of bands who were competing in Bangor, competed, and as soon as they hit the final note, the drums, everything was packed back into the bus and straight across onto the ferry to head back home again. There was a lot of bands who were there on either the day trip or those that were travelling home that evening. And a lot of the bands that did compete didn't actually, weren't there in the March Past, as mentioned. And they weren't there to collect prizes in some cases. So, this is not unique to Northern Ireland, I have to say. I know the Weekly Drone there mentioned that, is this a thing? Because, Northern Ireland bands go to Scotland 4 times in the year and the Scottish bands come to Northern Ireland once in the year. Yes, we know that. And we've talked about that, of course, on the shows before. That there is this imbalance, I guess, where all the major championships are mostly hosted in Scotland. But that's a topic for another day. But as for what you're talking about there with bands leaving early to go home, and whether the RSPBA will have a dispensation or something, like, penalise them possibly? No, I kind of disagree on this front. Whenever you look at other competitions such as Dumbarton, we have Forres coming up as well, and we have Perth in the future, I have no doubt we'll see a lot of Northern Ireland bands heading to these competitions, but also, having travel arrangements which require them to leave the competition as soon as they've played. There'll be quite a number of bands that have done this in the past, and I'm sure this will not change. Whenever you look at the March Past for, I think Dumbarton is a good example for this. Dumbarton competition, a lot of Northern Ireland bands will do that on the day trip. And what I mean is that they will leave Northern Ireland at silly o'clock in the morning. They will go across to Scotland, compete in Dumbarton, and then as soon as they have, then it's everybody back on the bus and it's right back home again. So you have another 4 or 5 hours getting back again. So, yeah, a lot of bands have done this in the past, and I dare say this year will be no different. As to whether there should be any penalties for things like this if your band doesn't attend the March Past, I don't know if that's enforceable, honestly. I think we would rather have bands there and in the circle and competing than not at all. Because I do think that if we did enforce penalties and things like this for not attending March Pasts, that's exactly what would happen. Bands would just not go then, you know? Okay, well, if you want us there at the March Past, well, then that means that we're going to have to be there until late, possibly going to have to get into a hotel that night and travel home the next day. So that's a huge expense for some bands, you know? Especially whenever you get to these competitions and the likes of Forez. And, you know, we'll be talking more about Forez later in the news and updates. Forez, which is like way up north in Scotland, and then we have Perth as well, which will also need overnight accommodation for some of the bands, and Dumbarton as well to a lesser extent. It is more reachable, I guess, than some venues for Northern Ireland bands, but anyway, I'm just trying to unpack it to say that it's happened before, but on the other side, right? Yeah, Northern Ireland bands have absolutely left competitions early, you know, and not attended March Pasts. So it's a thing. It's what happens. Logistics are a thing that bands need to consider. And if it's a matter of not attending a March Past as a result of, you know, getting there and getting back again, all within the allocated budget, then so be it, you know? So, I don't know. Maybe this will be a future topic for discussion. If you guys have any strong opinions on this, you can always send us in your own weekly drone. Or, of course, you can send us in your email, bigrabshow@gmail.com. But my opinion, honestly, I would rather see bands in the circle and competing and duking it out than to have like loads of bands, not attending as a result of having to do the March Past. There you are. That's just my opinion. You can let me know if it's stuff that Rab got wrong. Stuff that Rab got wrong. Anyway, that's it for the introductions and all the rest, folks. I think at this point now we've covered a lot of ground already, but yeah, I think it's time for me to take a wee break, and we'll be right back with all of the news and updates. Do you wish piping could be fun again? Bagpipers around the world continue to struggle with their instrument, despite hours of hard work trying to get better. Bagpiping should be fulfilling. Your hard work should pay off, showing improvement and the freedom to express yourself musically. Or why do it? The Dojo University believe every piper should be able to free themselves from musical frustration, proven over more than a decade of successful teaching and accessible anywhere with an internet connection. The Dojo is unlike any other bagpipe learning experience in the world. Let the Dojo channel your enthusiasm into a fun and fulfilling program that will empower you with the knowledge to fall in love with piping all over again. So go to dojouniversity.com/Big Rab and take advantage of our 30-day free trial of Dojo Premium membership. Join the global community of students today and rediscover the fun of bagpiping. dojouniversity.com/Big Rab for a 30-day free trial. Ready to take your playing to the next level? Say hello to the ES Session Chanter, the ultimate practice chanter designed for versatility and durability. Crafted from stainless steel and aluminium, the chanter comes equipped for both an A stem and a B flat stem, giving you the freedom to play along with any instrument, anytime, anywhere. Whether at a band practice or a trad session, the ES Session Chanter keeps pace with your creativity. Included with the chanter is the custom carbon carry case, the perfect addition to this compact and tactile instrument. To get yours, head to essessionchanter.co.uk. Alrighty, time to get into the news and updates. Now, I think this is possibly the first time I've had to talk with you guys following the UK Championships. So, Forgive me if I do go through the results here briefly, because, well, I'm sure by now you've probably seen them. They're already published up there now on the rspba.org. The full summaries are there, and there's a few talking points that we need to address, because they are definitely the talking points of the piping world right now, so it would be remiss of me if I didn't. So, first of all, let's kick things off at the drum major, shall we? Of course, our UK champion in the juvenile grade is Lewis Charles Anderson, of course, from New Rawson District. Fantastic start to the season there. And in second place was Carries Graham, third was Louise Smighton, and in fourth was Jamie Lee Wilson. In fifth place was Maya Buckley. I have to say, a very competitive day for the juvenile grade, for sure. Fantastic start to the season there for Lewis, UK champion. Moving on to the junior grade then, we had Georgia Turkington from Matt Boyd Memorial lifting that UK title. Well done, Georgia. In second place was Harry Couples from Surla. Then we had Willow Rose Elliott in third. In fourth place was Lydia Todd from McNeilstown. And in fifth place was Molly Bell from MacDonald Academy. There you are. And again, another very strong showing there from the juniors. So, well done to Georgia, lifting that UK title. Right, let's move on to the adults. I think I am moving in the wrong order. I'm all over the place here. But, onto the adult drum majors, who had a bit of a challenging final, I believe. There was a bit of a crosswind blowing. And as you might have heard on our on-the-ground report, where they were in the park, the wind just seemed to be whipping through. There was no protection there, and I've heard from the adult final, winds were quite strong at that point. So, hey, that's not to take it away. They were definitely very competitive. So, congratulations to Emma Barr, our UK champion. Yes, what a strong start to the season for Emma. Well done. In second place then, in M&D preference, we had Lauren Hanna from Police Scotland Fife. Well done, Lauren. In third place, we had Jamie Couples from the mighty Ravara. Well done, Jamie. In fourth, then, we had Cara Gilmer, of course, from Police Scotland and Federation. There you are, Cara. And in fifth place, then, in M&D preference, we had Andrea McKeown Gibson. There you go. So, a very competitive drum majoring weekend all over, I have to say. So if you are curious about, getting to see what actually happened in that drum major arena, then again, you can go and check out the Big Rab Show YouTube channel, where we have managed to film those performances from the adult finals at the UK Championships. There you are, one for drum majoring fans. Right, let's get on to the bands. Very quickly, we're going to go through the novice bands. So starting with novice B, of course, our UK champions was Lochgilly High School. Yes, with ones right across the board. Fair play to Lochgilly. Lifting that UK title and the drumming title as well. In second place in novice B, we had Preston Lodge. Go on, the PL! Yep, good stuff. 2 seconds in piping, fourth in drumming though, but a second in ensemble pulled him into the second spot. In third then was Dollar, and in fourth place was Down Academy, and that was it for novice B on the day. Looking at novice A, our UK champions were Dollar Academy, 990. There you go. A bit of a mixed result piping-wise, though, for Dollar, with a 2 and a 1 in piping. And, they lifted the drumming and finished first in ensemble. But splitting the piping, actually, with the runner-up on the day, who was Lochgilly High School, who finished second. So not a bad result there for Lochgilly. In third place in ensemble preference was St. Columbus School, Kilmacombe. And in fourth then was George Watson's College, 369. And that was your novice A. So briefly, let's look at the juvenile grade, who, again, I had the pleasure of listening to some of these juvenile bands. Unfortunately, I didn't have my recorder with me at that point, but wow, is all I could say. The talent that's on display in this juvenile grade this season just seems to have stepped up another level. I don't know how such a thing was possible, but it is. So, our UK champions in the juvenile grade at the UK's were Dollar Academy. Yes, second spot was George Watson's College, and in third place was Preston Lodge. Go on the PL. And the drumming prize actually went to George Watson's. There you go. So not a bad weekend's work there in the juvenile grade. Right, let's move on to grade 4B. And our UK champions with ones right across the board with a very convincing win was Black Raven. Oh, baby. Now, didn't I tell you in my UK Championship preview that Black Raven were a band that you should be paying attention to? It's great that this is... We should have a jingle for this. Stuff that Rab got right. Oh! There you go. But I had a little listen to Black Raven outside of the circle, They were absolutely singing. So fair play to the guys at Black Raven, and I think they were more than a little happy to win a major. They also managed to lift the drumming title as well, and with 2 firsts in piping, first in drumming, first in ensemble, a very convincing win from Black Raven. Well done. In second spot then, in Grade 4B, was the Alt Neve Memorial. Yes, with 2 seconds in piping, 4th in drumming, however, but a 2nd in ensemble. So, yeah, definitely in that 2nd spot secured. In third then was the 2 Scots, Pipes, Drums and Bugles, who also won, I think they won Best Band on Parade, which is still a bit of a strange prize for me. I still don't fully understand that. That seems to have been something that was introduced in recent years, Best Band on Parade. I don't know how it's judged, or I have no idea. But hey, they won it, so there you go. Well done to the 2 Scots, Pipes, Drums and Bugles in third place in 4B. In fourth place then was Money Gore. Yeah, they had a real good run, actually, and I have to say their drumming, it was particularly special. Yeah, so shout out to Money Gore's drum corps. He actually finished up in the runner-up position in drumming, got a 2nd in drumming. So finished 4th overall for Money Gore. In 5th place then was McDonald Memorial. Yes, and again, another really interesting run there from McDonald Memorial. A lot to unpack there, a lot of great playing. Yeah, I had to listen to it. It's very, very good. Also in 6th spot then in the UK Championships was Letterkenny and District. Yes, great result for Letterkenny. Good stuff. All right, and then for those interested, my own band, we finished 7th, just behind Letterkenny and District, with 7s right across the board. So 7 in piping, 7 in drumming, 7 in ensemble. All the judges seem to agree. We were definitely 7th. Fair enough. There you go. So yeah, shout out to everyone there in Grade 4B, and in particular our UK champions, Black Raven. What a fantastic run. All right, moving on to Grade 4A then. Our UK champions were the William Kerr Memorial. Yes, what a result for William Kerr. And again, I've had to listen to the performance. Very, very steady, I have to say, is what I'm superbly controlled. Definitely. So, yeah, shout out to William Kerr. Really enjoyed it and deserved UK champions. However, they got a 2-2 in piping, 3rd in drumming, 3rd in ensemble. But points-wise, the way it all shook down, and that put them into that top spot. Because in the runner-up spot then in 2nd place was the Irvine Memorial, who actually had 2 firsts in piping, however a 6th in drumming, which had them in the 5th in ensemble, so down the pecking order there. But definitely a lot to work on there from Irvine Memorial, I'm sure, and it's not the last we're going to hear from them. Yeah. In 3rd place then we had Upper Cross Gar. Now, this kind of drew a bit of a giggle from the crowd because unfortunately they were announced by Colin Mulhern as Upper Cross Gare. Upper Cross Gear. I'm not sure where he got that from, but hey, for someone who always pronounces band names wrong, I absolutely sympathise. So when you spell Upper Cross Gear, it's Crossgare. It's Gar, Cross Gar. But there you go. They finished in 3rd anyway, so well done to Upper Cross Gear. In 4th place then was Ballybowly, and they were in there an ensemble preference. Now this is when people started talking. All right, this result from Ballybowly in Grade 4A has the piping world going, oh, hang on a minute, what's happening here? Something strange in your neighbourhood. Yeah, it's because Ballybowly got a 4th and a 3rd in piping, however they got an 11th in drumming, so their drumming didn't seem to have a good day because there was 11 in the grade. However, their ensemble placing was 1st. Now, I'll let that sink in for a little second. And this is when we're starting to see little differences in opinions of judges. So, yeah, an 11th in drumming, however, a 1st in ensemble. And that was enough to pull them into the 4th spot. So, I haven't actually heard it yet from Ballybowly. I'm going to have to go back and listen to it. But it's seen a huge gap like that from 1st in ensemble to 11th in drumming. That's a big gap. Yeah. In 5th place then was Rafo Ulster Scots, and they had 2 6th in piping, a 5th in drumming, and a 2nd in ensemble. Yeah, there you go. So we're starting to see differences between drumming and ensemble prizes. Yeah. In the 6th spot then we had Grantia, who had an 8 and a 9 in piping, however a 1st in drumming and a 9th in ensemble. So, again, there's that difference there. And whenever you look further down the list, there's another big gap between judges who might have heard different things on the day. And this is what we're getting at here. Derry Clavin pipe band, who actually finished 10th overall out of a possible 11. However, they had a 10th in ensemble, 11 in piping, and a 2nd in drumming. Yeah, so I don't know, big differences here. You know, the ensemble judge, I don't know. The drumming and ensemble judge seem to be hearing different things, I guess, and this absolutely can happen, you know, because depending on where that ensemble judge is standing, they may well hear something different from what the drumming judge would hear when he's standing at the back row, for example. So I'm not in there with the clipboard. I'm not casting aspersions by any means, but this is the first time we're seeing the differences now, big differences in placings. Let's move on. Grade 3B. In first place, we had Clock Finn. Yes, and a fantastic run by Clock Finn, honestly. With 2 firsts in piping, a 1st in ensemble, however, a 6th in drumming, out of a possible 6 in the grade. But again, we're starting to see those gaps, you know, where a drumming judge had them last, but the ensemble judge had them first. That's possibly up for discussion on a future Rab show right now. All of this kind of stuff, this differences. Going on to second place, then we had Drumlock Pipe Band, who actually lifted the drumming on the day. UK champions for Drumlock. Yeah! Not bad. Great result for Drumlock. Well done. In third place then in 3B, we had Surla in District. Yes, great result for them. And in fourth, we had the Cleland Memorial. And in fifth place, we had Uddingston Strathclyde. There you are. So, yeah, I have to say, Grade 3B, a bit of a mixed bag. And again, we're seeing those huge differences between drumming judges and ensemble judges. And that's been a topic that will kind of feature all the way through as we're going through now onto Grade 3A. Now, I have to say, Grade 3A was so entertaining to watch. For anyone who hasn't caught the performances in Grade 3A, please do take the time to go and watch it. I did say in my UK Championship preview that this will be a very entertaining grade, and I was not wrong. So this was, again, stuff that Rab got right. And full credit to our UK champions, Vale of Atholl. Oh, baby. What a weekend for the mighty Vale. But yeah, I have to say full congratulations to Kyle Howe and everyone there at the Vale of Atholl. They absolutely played for it. The band sounded brilliant in the park too. Oh, brilliant. So the piping judges had a bit of a mixed reaction to the Vale of Atholl. They had a 6th in piping and a 3rd in piping. However, the drumming and ensemble judge were totally in agreement here with 2 firsts. And that was enough to pull them into that top spot there. Yeah, their runner-up, however, were Oban. And Oban had 2 firsts in piping, however, at 8th in drumming, 3rd in ensemble. So, yeah, again, the piping result there, pulling them into that runner-up spot there. Well done to Oban. In third place, then, was Denny and Dunnypace Association. Yes, with 2 seconds in piping, however, a 9th in drumming, and a 2nd in ensemble. So we're starting to see those differences creep in between the ensemble and the drumming judge. There you go. Didn't I tell you? That's going to creep up again. Looking at our next place on 4th, we had Clocker in District. Yes, and they had 3-4 in piping, 2nd in drumming, however, a 7th in ensemble. Yeah, differences again. So looking into the 5th place then, we had the Major Sinclair Memorial. Go on, the Sinclair! Not a bad run from then. And in 6th spot then was McNeilstown Pipe Band. Yeah. So, I don't know. Again, we are starting to see, as I've mentioned before, the differences in opinions between judges, between our drumming judge and ensemble judge. So, yeah. Take from it what you will. I dare say there's going to be some weekly drones on this. But anyway, let's move on. I'm surprised I haven't received them already. Let's move on to Grade 2. And, of course, our defending Grade 2 UK champions managed to retain their title. And yes, congratulations to Ravara. Ho-ho! Yeah, what a performance. 2 firsts in piping, a 3rd in ensemble, and 6th in drumming. But yeah, that was enough to pull them into that top spot in what is now known as the ridiculous grade. All right? I'm not going to hear it from anybody else. The Grade 2 is definitely the ridiculous grade. All right? In 2nd place then we had Portlethen in District. Again, another strong run from Portlethen. Really enjoyed them outside the circle actually. Yeah, and in 3rd place was the Royal Borough of Annan. And this is, we're starting to see differences here again in opinions between drumming judges and ensemble judge, because in drumming they came 7th, but in ensemble they were 1st. And, yeah, the kind of role reversed, I guess, when it come to Uddingston, who were first in drumming and 7th in ensemble, and they placed 5th overall. On the day also, placing 4th, we had Kilchaman Distillery, Isle of Islay. It's great to see them in that top 4 spot there in Grade 2. Fantastic. Also coming in 6th spot then, we had the Glasgow Sky Association. Yeah. So I have to say also congratulations to Uddingston there for lifting that drumming title as well. Not bad, especially with the new lead tipper at the helm. Yeah, congratulations to Craig Laurie and everybody there at the mighty Uddingston. What a fantastic run on the day. Yeah, and as you heard by our on-the-ground report, the band were absolutely cooking outside the circle. Yeah. So I have to say, Grade 2, not as mixed, I guess, whenever it comes to disparities in the results. That's something we always kind of look at and we talk about here. But as I'm going to say it, if you go to one side of the band, you'll hear one performance, and if you walk around to the other, you'll hear something completely different. And that could be something that's happening here, where our drumming judge is situated behind the drummers, and that's what he's focused on, and where our ensemble judge could be 2 completely different spots in the circle, and they can hear different things. So, yeah, I'm not for any means casting aspersions on our judges here. It's just a topic for discussion, I guess. Let's move on. On to Grade 1, of course. You know that our UK champions are St. Lawrence O'Toole. Wow, I have to say, I am still breathless after their run. I was absolutely blown away. Yeah, now there's tunes in there we've heard before, but man, did they play it with passion. And that's what came across. And if anything, it might not even have come across in the video that we filmed of them, but whenever you see St. Lawrence O'Toole hit that last big flam that Stephen and Crichton and the guys do, everyone looked up, including the pipers, and they were all smiling, as if to say, that was fun. We enjoyed that, And you don't often see that from a Grade 1 band, But yeah, there was members smiling in the circle as they were reforming ranks and marching out, which was so good. They clearly enjoyed themselves. Yeah. So shout out to St. Lawrence O'Toole. Had a fantastic run. A lot of the members were just happy with how they played by the looks of things. And yeah, just had a good time in the circle. And congratulations, UK champion. 2 firsts in piping, 2nd in ensemble, however, a 4th in drumming. But still, enough to have them into that top spot. Yeah, well done. Also, lifting the drumming title then were our runner-up on the day, who was Inverarian District, he got 2 seconds in piping, a 1st in drumming, and that had them in the runner-up spot. However, this is when we're starting to see the disparities, again, I could just about talk, where our drumming judge had them 1st, but our ensemble judge had them 6th. Yeah, and in Grade 1, to see margins like this, that's quite large. Yeah, so there you go. Differences of opinion there. But they're quite entitled to. They might well have heard other things that we didn't. Us muggles outside the railings might not have heard anything. So there you go. So 2-2 in piping, 1st in drumming, and UK champion drum corps. Well done, Stephen and co. Fantastic stuff from Inverary. In 3rd place then was the Field Marshal Montgomery with a brand new medley selection, actually, that's been really heavily requested over on Fuse. We played it there last night, and a lot of people wanted it played again before I went off air. Yeah, but that big slow air, the tune I think is called In Christ Alone. I think it's like a gospel song or something. The arrangement of it, absolutely breathtaking. I have to say, it's really, really good. So, yeah, if you haven't listened to it, it's on last week's pod. Go and have a listen. Field Marshal Montgomery in 3rd, and they finished in runner-up in the drumming as well. So, well done, Garth McLeese and co there, yeah. In 4th place, then, we had People's Ford, Boghall and Bathgate, who had a bit of a mixed bag on the day. Now, honestly, whenever I heard the performance, I thought it was great. Again, the band walked in there with full confidence and thumped out a big tune, and I was going, wow, this is special right there. And yeah, the band finished 4th overall. And when you looked at what the judges' placings were, again, as I say, a mixed bag. A 6 and a 4 in piping. A 3rd in drumming, however, and a 1st in ensemble. So, again, just a bit of a mixed bag. And yeah, there you go. Our defending UK champions did not defend their UK title and handed it to St. Lawrence O'Toole this year. There you go. But it's just the start of the season, and we dare say there will be more piping fireworks from Boghall. Yeah, mark my words. All right, on to 5th place then we had Shots and Dykehead, who honestly I thought played a real stomper. I thought they had a fantastic run. In particular, I have to give a shout out to their drum corps, who just absolutely slapped, I think is the word they use nowadays. But man, what a run from Shots. That was fantastic. But yeah, so they had a 5-5 in piping, 6th in drumming, and a 3rd in ensemble. Yeah, fantastic run. Then in 6th place then we had Scottish Power. Yeah. Again, I mentioned it before here on the show, but Scottish Power have absolutely found tone. The sound that Scottish Power are producing at the moment, just brilliant. Yeah. Now, I am going to give my own opinions on this. You can go and read these summaries at your leisure, and we have talked about the disparities, I can just about say that word, between drumming judges and ensemble placings. All right? And piping judges and ensemble placings and drumming and all of that. The differences in placings. Again, I have to stress, we are not in that circle with a clipboard. We are not there in close proximity. We don't see or even hear the full detail of what that judge will when they're in there with that clipboard. All right? We are very much armchair judges and enthusiasts, and we can definitely give our own opinions on what we believe, but is it actually factual? Imagine if we were in there with that clipboard, would we have placed the bands in a similar position? It remains to be seen, doesn't it? Anyway, I have to say, there's one band in particular on the day who finished in 9th on ensemble preference, which was one from bottom. But I do believe Klaus Kelt Pipe Band absolutely played a blinder. They really did impress me on the day. Now, I know some people are going to go, ugh, Rob, but no, honestly, Klaus Kelt played a real thumping good tune, in my opinion. And that opening tune in the medley, the slow air was just beautiful. It really did pique my interest. I think Klaus Kelt have definitely come on leaps and bounds now. And I do hope to see them climb up that ladder. Now we're starting to see them. There they are now in 9th in ensemble preference in grade 1. Next time we get to see them will be at the British. And I do hope, well, hopefully Klaus Kelt's playing at the Mid-Ulsters this weekend, actually. Yeah, the next major, I guess, will be the British. And I do hope to see Klaus Kelt continue to improve. Definitely a band that you should be paying attention to. For me, personally, I thought they played a really great run at the UK's. And, possibly would have had them slightly higher in the prizes, in my own opinion. But that's not to take it away from the other performances from all 10 bands in that grade. Seriously, what a weekend of music. Congratulations to everybody in all grades. And, these are just my opinions, of course. You guys can draw your own conclusions. I don't have my wee thing with me. But, you can send us in your own opinions, of course. You can go to our website, Weekly Drone, big button at the top of the page. Or, of course, you can email us, bigrabshow@gmail.com. There's a lot to unpack from the UK's. And we're only just getting started, because the British Championships is just around the corner. And a lot of these bands will have a chance to have a second dig at each other. And I can't wait for it. All right, let's get into some minor competitions then, shall we? There was a competition there on Sunday, 26th of May, actually in Dollar. Dollar Academy has returned. And, had quite a cool competition by all accounts. I think conditions on the day weren't the best, however. I think it was very rainy, very wet. So let's briefly run through the results then, shall we? Starting with Novice B, the winner in the Dollar Academy competition was Dollar Academy. Yeah, their Novice B band. And then second place was Merchiston. Sorry. There you go. Stuff it, Rob got it wrong. And in third place in Novice B was Burnt Island District. Yeah. And moving on to Novice A then, we only had the one Novice A band playing, and that was Dollar Academy 990. There you go. Looking at the juvenile grade, we only had the one juvenile band in attendance, and that was, again, Dollar Academy. Yeah. Looking at grade 4B, we had two bands in here, grade 4B. We had this, in first place, we had the City of Brechin. There you go. With ones right across the board, apart from Ensemble, where they finished runner-up, to our second place finisher, who was Tully Allen. There you are. So, not a bad run there. On to grade 4A then, with 4 bands here in total, and lifting the title at Dollar Academy was Fraserburgh RBL. Yes, and lifting the drumming on the day was the runner-up, who was Camelon in district. In third was Kinross in district, and in fourth was Troon Blackrock. There you go. All right, so that's your grade 4A. And moving on to grade 3, then we had Burnt Island in district, who, played up and managed to lift the title. Yeah, so playing up from grade 4A into grade 3, they managed to defeat some grade 3B bands, so that's a bit of a news story right there. So fantastic stuff. Well done to Burnt Island District, lifting that top spot in grade 3. Moving on, let's go to grade 2, and a juvenile band actually lifted grade 2. Dollar Academy played up, and managed to defeat the city of Edinburgh. So that could be a talking point also, but I do believe this was during some quite inclement weather. Yeah, and then we had City of Edinburgh, who played up in grade 1 and managed to lift the title unchallenged there. There you go. Now, I also have to say, close to home, here in Northern Ireland, we had the County Fermanagh Championships in Enniskillen, and by all accounts, I've been told it was a fantastic day. So, piping and drumming, and it stayed dry, which is a miracle for Enniskillen. Anytime I've been to Fermanagh, it's always been a washout. So, thank you to the Fermanagh branch for putting a memo upstairs to sort out the weather. Thank you. So looking at grade 4B then, winners on the day were Altnavay Memorial. Yes, with ones right across the board. So well done to Altnavay. In second place in ensemble preference were Breedy Ulster Scots. Well done, Breedy. In third place in Fermanagh then were Tullylagan. Yo! There you go. Now, full disclosure, I wasn't competing. So, I didn't win anything. But well done to Tullylagan, who lifted a prize in my absence. Well done, guys. In fourth place, then, was the Joseph Ford Memorial. Yes. And in fifth place, then, was Down Academy. Yeah, well done. So there you go. A very competitive grade this is shaping up to be. But yeah, well done to the Altnavay Memorial. Again, I've listened to the performance from Enniskillen. Very, very strong. So, yeah, fair play to Altnavay. Moving on, grade 4A for County Fermanagh Championships. The winner was Up Across Gar. Yes, or Up Across Gare. There you are. But they had a 4 and 3 in piping, however, lifted the drumming and first in ensemble. There you are. So not a bad weekend's work from Up Across Gar. Up Across Gare. In second place was Ballybowly. Again, with another strong performance from Ballybowly. Yeah, I'm going to have to check them out now, for sure. Especially that run in the UK. So I'm going to give that a listen. But yeah, managing to lift second spot in the County Fermanagh Championships. In third place, we had Irvine Memorial. Again, another strong run from Irvine. Well done. And in fourth place was the William Kerr Memorial. Yes, and in fifth, we had Grantia. Sixth place, we had Thiepval Memorial. And that was grade 4A at County Fermanagh. Moving on to grade 3B then, we only had a few bands in here, 3 in total, I believe. So in first place, we had Drumloch. Yes, well done to the mighty Drumloch. In second place, we had Clough-Finn. And in third, we had Surla in district, who also managed to lift the drumming title on the day. Well done to Surla. Moving on to grade 3A, in the County Fermanagh Championship, we had Clougher in district, who managed to lift the top spot with ones right across the board. Well done to Clougher. In second place, we had the mighty Dogs. Kildog by... Brilliant. Yeah, well done. Really enjoyed their performance, actually. Yeah, managed to listen to it. Very, very good. In third place, we had McNeilstown. Yeah, and in fourth place, we had Clough-Finn, who actually challenged up a grade. Yeah, and managed to do well. So, yeah, fifth place, we had Battle Hill. And in sixth place, then, we had Drumloch. There you go. So, quite a number of bands from 3B challenging up to 3A and doing well. Good stuff. All right, speaking of bands playing up, then we're on to grade 2. On the day, we had Clougher in district and Kildog, who played up from grade 3A, challenging into grade 2, but the winners on the day were Tullylagan. Yes, lifting that top spot in grade 2. However, the drumming on the day actually went to Clougher in district from grade 3A, who finished second overall, and lifting that drumming title. Yeah, great result for Clougher. Yeah. In third place, then, we had the Kildog. And, yeah, what a competition that was in grade 2. Great to hear these bands getting that additional run out. Yeah. Then, in grade 1, we had the mighty Closkelt that I was just chatting about there earlier. And another really strong performance from Closkelt, I have to say. And in second place, then, we had Tullylagan, who played up in grade 1 as well to challenge. So there you go. A very entertaining weekend's piping and drumming in County Fermanagh. I have to say, this weekend, of course, is the Mid-Ulster Championships, and Yeah, we couldn't be more excited for it. I'm sure we're going to talk more about it in Dates for Your Diary and stuff. The draw for the Mid-Ulster Championship is available now, and we do have a Grade 1 competition, and Grade 2, 3A, 3B, etc., etc. Full grades, if anything. It's quite a large competition, this, so really shaping up to be a good one. And yes, hopefully I'll be there competing at this one with a kilt on and everything. Yeah, so I didn't manage to make it to Fermanagh because of work commitments, but I do hope to be challenging there at the Mid-Ulster Championships this weekend in Cookstown. There you go. All right, let's fly on with even more bagpiping news. Of course, this past weekend was the Atholl Gathering. Yes, May 26th seen the Atholl Gathering, which is quite a prolific event by all accounts. And let's look at the results, shall we? Yeah, Aaron Green was the junior overall winner. Yes, well done to Aaron Green. I have to say, yeah, full congratulations. And let's run through some of the, well, we'll run through it here quickly, will we? Looking at the professional Pembroke, we had Sandy Cameron, who lifted that one. The B Pembroke went to Brodie Watson-Massey. C Pembroke went to Callum Dunbar. MSR on the day went to Stephen Lesk. And the hornpipe jig went to Ben Duncan. There you go. Well done. Right. So for more information, of course, on all of the details from the Atholl Gathering, I'm just going to briefly mention it here, but you can check out all of those on bagpipe.news, where they have given the full listings there, of course, with all the prize winners. But yeah, shout out to Aaron Green, who was the junior overall winner, and also to Brodie Watson-Massey, of course, he was the overall winner. On the day for the B grade, Pembroke and all that. Anyway, I'm getting all muddled up, but if you do want to check that out, absolutely, go and check out bagpipe.news. All right. Okay, I have to mention, well, quite a big news story for us here on the Big Rab Show. Now, getting away from competitions and results and all of that kind of stuff for a little while, I want to talk about the Big Rab Show podcast. All right. Now, I'm sure by now you've probably already seen the announcement. All right. But yeah, you might have noticed the number of this week's episode. We are fast approaching episode 400. Yeah, we are. And it's been suggested by a lot of folk out there going, Rab, what are you going to do to celebrate episode 400? Well, we didn't announce it, but Piping Live did. Yeah, we are heading back to Piping Live, the street cafe in Glasgow. Oh, man, I cannot wait. If anything, I was sort of pinching myself when we got the phone call saying, hey, Big Rab, do you want to come back and do another show again? We'd love to have you. I'm like, what? Are you kidding me? Absolutely. Yep, count us in. Oh, it was like a won the lotto. It was fantastic. So, yeah, ourselves and the Big Rab Show team, we will be back again at Piping Live, and we're going to be throwing a huge episode 400 extravaganza. Now, there will be all sorts of surprises at this one, and, guest musicians and all the usual sort of stuff, but we do have a few surprises up our sleeve, and, it's going to be good. That's all I'm going to say, but let's say episode 400 is going to be a big one, all right? And I don't think you can get much bigger with recording a live show at the biggest piping festival in the world. And we don't take that for granted for a second. So we're going to take full advantage of it and have the best time, of course, on that stage at Piping Live. And we really hope that you can join us. It's on the Wednesday, so it's smack bang in the middle of the festival. So it's on the Wednesday evening for those of you planning your trip. So we will be on stage at 4:30 in the afternoon. And then I think our show will wrap up, because I know a lot of people's going to the Bog Hall concert after. I think we're going to be wrapping up around 5:30, 6 o'clock. So that'll give you enough time to get to the hotel, get changed, shards, get something to eat, and then out for the show, I think, for Bog Hall. So, because I'm going to be joining you, I'm going to the concert too. So I kind of want to get wrapped up as well. So yeah, I hope to see you all there. Wherever you're listening to this podcast right now, if you are going to Piping Live, please do make a point to go and check us out at the Street Cafe at Piping Live to celebrate episode 400. We want to make this one of the biggest and best live shows yet. Now, we've done this now a few times. I don't know if this is our third or fourth time now at Piping Live, but we really want to make this massive. All right, because I doubt very much we'll get invited back. Now, I've said this before, I know, and we keep getting invited back. But yeah, this time round, man, do we want to have a good time. We want to celebrate 400 episodes of the Big Rab Show podcast, and we really hope that you guys, the piping folk, can join us for what will be a huge party on Wednesday afternoon, and tons of great music and a lot of good crack. And then, yeah, go and get freshened up and go and see Bog Hall. Yeah, do their thing at the concert hall. I don't know, man. It's going to be a serious good way to spend a Wednesday. There you go. So get that date in your diary, folks. All right, you've been warned. 14th of August in the Street Cafe, which is at the National Piping Centre. Big Rab Show Live, episode 400. All right, there you go. You've been told now. So that's not in dates for your diary. It's for the news and updates. So there you go. All right, well, speaking of the National Piping Centre, actually, have you guys seen their new logos and stuff? Yeah, they've had a complete new redesign of everything National Piping Centre. It's really cool, actually. Just very slick and simple. It's just red writing. It just says NPC, National Piping Centre. And they have a whole bunch of new branded merch and stuff. So if anybody out there has any of their old merch, then that's now become a collector's item right there. They're kind of like the old Big Rab Show merch that we used to sell years ago. We should get back on that again. We should start selling Rab Show merch. But anyway, the National Piping Centre, completely new redesign, and their stuff just looks brilliant, by the way. Very slick. So if you haven't seen it yet, go along to the National Piping Centre website, go to thebagpipeshop.co.uk, where they do have some real new, sweet new swag with this new logo on it. It's very cool. Anyway, go and check it out. All right, we have another news story that I really wanted to get into this week's show. We had a huge announcement from Marlacoo. Yes, Marlacoo Pipe Band, who have been off the road now for a long time. They've been very sorely missed. Well, five or 6 days ago now, from the point of me recording this, they put out an announcement on their socials saying that the band will be back in competition, with the first competition being the Antrim and Newtownabbey Pipe Band Championships. And man, I couldn't be more happy. So good to hear of Marlacoo returning to the circle again. Just fantastic. They're going to be competing in Grade 4B, and they've given us a list of competitions that they hope to go to. The first one being the Antrim and Newtownabbey Championships. The second one then being the All-Irelands, of course, in Donabate. And then they're also going to be competing at the Heart O'Down Championships in Newcastle. So 3 outings for the brand new Marlacoo Pipe Band, and I couldn't be more happy. So yeah, congratulations guys on being able to field a competitive band after all this time. We cannot wait to see you on the grass. And yeah, have a good tune, Marlacoo. Go on, the Coo! Isn't that what they're saying? Oh, fantastic. I'm really looking forward to seeing them again. Okay, let's get into another news story. But speaking of Grade 1 bands and that earlier, new music, and this is the exciting time of year. Well, yeah, new music has appeared from Simon Fraser University Pipe Band. Don't know if you've managed to see this yet. And if you haven't, then yeah, head over to the Big Rab Show on Facebook, where we have shared it out probably a few times more than we should have done. But this is so good. I mean, really good. It's a brand new medley selection that was debuted by the Simon Fraser University Pipe Band at the Victoria Highland Games there recently. And the medley is called Punch It Chewy. Yeah, Punch It Chewy. That's the name of the opening tune. And yeah, this medley, definitely one for Star Wars fans, but definitely also one for piping fans. SFU have certainly hit the grass running, I have to say. This medley, just beautiful. Yep, trust me. Even from a piping perspective now, that I can kind of appreciate it a bit more. Yeah, Reed Maxwell and the core, of course, are absolutely crystal clear and really on song. But of course, the pipe core now, this new medley selection really does showcase both ends of the band here. And go and have a listen to it. All right, if you haven't already, go and check it out. We have shared it out, of course, many times across our socials. The brand new Punch It Chewy medley from SFU. Definitely worthy of a listen for sure. Now, also at the Victoria Highland Games, they also played their MSR, which is the Hugh Kennedy one. What's wrong with me? Yeah, just about talk. I was getting all excited. Their Hugh Kennedy MSR that they also played at the Victoria Highland Games, that was all sorts of special as well. So, yeah, just do yourself a favour. Go and check out the 2 performances from SFU at the Victoria Highland Games. Definitely worthy of your attention. Some recordings are better than others, though. We have found some that quality's maybe not there and it's difficult to hear. But yeah, we've shared out a couple that we believe are high enough quality and definitely really entertaining stuff from Simon Fraser. So, hi, I cannot wait to see them here in the UK, duking it out with the rest of our Grade 1 big guns. That's going to be exciting for sure. All right, let's move on. Okay, now I am aware that there was a competition that took place called Scottish Fest. Yeah, apparently this took place in Orange County in California. Now, there was a number of bands that played at this. Unfortunately, I'm not across the details as to who won what. I think LA Scots were playing there along with a bunch of other bands. But yeah, I just don't have a lot of details on it. So yeah, anyone out there has any more details on Scottish Fest from Orange County in California, please do let me know how the competition went, who won what and where, and all that kind of stuff. I think Salt Lake, I think the Salt Lake band played there as well, along with the LA Scots. I think there was a few others. I think Mesa Caledonia might have been there too. I'm not sure. But either way, if anyone has that detail, please do let me know. I'd love to hear it. But yeah, shout out to everyone there at Scottish Fest. Also, I think on the horizon, now this is not dates for your diary, but I do believe that the Georgetown Highland Games are coming up pretty soon. And that's, of course, up in Canada. And I don't have the dates yet. So if anyone has any details about the Georgetown Highland Games, please do let me know. I do believe that the 70th Fraser Highlanders are due to play at that. A lot of people are very keen to hear them, of course. So, yeah, myself included. So, anybody has any details about the Georgetown Highland Games or even any sort of sneaky clips from behind the scenes of the 70th Fraser Highlanders? Yeah, let me know. We're definitely very keen to hear them. That's for sure. All right. I think I was mentioning there about the Mesa Caledonia pipe. No, they were actually playing at the Costa Mesa Highland Games. Yeah, I'm getting myself all mixed up here. Yeah, so forgive me. But yeah, shout out to the City of Angels pipe band, actually, who managed to finish in first place in Grade 3 MSR and medley, and they won the overall aggregate in Grade 3 there at the Costa Mesa Highland Games. Well done. Also managed to lift the best drum corps in Grade 3 as well. So shout out to City of Angels. Now, I'm just not fully across all the details from the Costa Mesa Games. Again, very difficult to find these results. Not entirely sure why, but again, if there are results coming from competitions in the United States, then please do let us know, because we'd love to showcase that on the show. Yeah. Anyway, also, I believe there was a competition that took place in Greenville, the Greenville Highland Games. I don't know, it's upcoming, I guess. So if there are any results from that, again, please do flag them up to us. We'd love to give a bit of a showcase to our United States bands who are definitely in full flow at the moment. So yeah, if you're heading to games in the US and you have those results for us, or even a little sneaky clip or video clip or something, please do send them on to us. We'd absolutely love to showcase it here on the show. Our email address, bigrabshow@gmail.com. Yeah, send them on to us. All right, let's move on. Oh, also, speaking of competitions in the future, Scotfest is coming up. Scotfest BC. Yeah. So that's obviously in BC in Canada. So again, anyone heading to that, please let us know. Yeah, June 14th and 15th. That's just around the corner, actually. And I believe SFU will be playing at that. So there's been various different announcements about Scotfest. So please, again, get in contact. I know that this is something that we've kind of been repeating ourselves on, I guess, for the Rab Show, but I'm going to do it again. I know I'm kind of getting on my soapbox now. We have received a number of complaints on the Big Rab Show that we're not live streaming performances and we're not filming every grade. There's been performances that we've missed, of course, because we're all competitors. All of us in the Big Rab Show team are all competing players now, and it's very difficult to compete in a band, try and win a prize, but also manage to film every performance. It's incredibly difficult. So, yeah, we have received a number of complaints over the last few contests that we haven't been covering every single aspect. We are doing our best, and we have put the call out for volunteers. And we have had a few people come forward, actually, but they've all been based here locally in the UK. So we do hope as future competitions here in the UK season unfold that our coverage will definitely increase and we'll definitely be able to cover more performances from more circles. But I am, getting on my soapbox. And all of these competitions that we are potentially missing in the United States, Canada, Australia, New Zealand, South Africa, everywhere that there's a pipe band competition, we would absolutely love to have a camera on the ground. So if you are going to be attending any of these events and you do happen to have a spare 5 minutes to possibly film a performance in the circle, doesn't matter the grade. That's one of the big things that we've been getting back. Oh, Rab, we don't have any grade 1 at our competition. That's okay. We don't mind. If anything, we prefer that we'll be able to feature every possible grade, all the way from grassroots, 4B, all the way up to grade 1. All right, so yeah, just because your competition that you're attending doesn't have a grade 1 doesn't mean that we don't want to see it. We absolutely want to see it. So, yeah, if you are going to a competition in your locale and you might think to yourself, oh, hey, if I can point my phone at this band for 5 minutes and catch their medley, I could email that over to Big Rab and they can get that on the show. Yeah, that's what we're here for. We absolutely want to try and showcase piping and drumming around the globe as it's happening, not just here in the UK. So, absolutely, thank you to all of our UK volunteers who have definitely thrown their hat in the ring, and we are currently making plans for the next few majors ahead of us for the rest of the season to try and better our coverage, I guess. But again, the volunteers that are coming forward, again, are all competitors. Sorry to throw you under the bus, guys. But yeah, all competitors. So we're all going to have to work out our own performance times, band, requirements, and then work out whether we can get a camera in every circle. So that's going to be an issue. But we'll do our best to juggle it, I guess. But yeah, I have to stress, we're all volunteers. We are doing our best to try and share the love of this music far and wide. And we're putting the call out now on the show. Before we get into this week's Dates for Your Diary and Topic of the Week and all that stuff, if you can help us cover this incoming season and seasons in the future, no matter where you are listening now around the globe, if you have a spare 5 minutes, if you have a cell phone that has a pretty decent camera on it, then hey, perhaps point it at a pipe band, film their performance and send it in to us. We'd absolutely love to hear from you. So if you would like to be a part of the team, if you would like to help us, then you can email us, bigrabshow@gmail.com. Drop us in a line and say, hey, Rab, I'm going to Scotfest in BC, for example. Yeah, do you want me to take a phone with me and I'll try and film a wee bit of grade 2 or something? Hey, absolutely. Yes, please do. Or, hey, Rab, I'm going to a competition, in 3 weeks' time and, there's only going to be a 4A, but do you want to see it? Yes, we do. Thank you. bigrabshow@gmail.com. That's it. I'll get off my soapbox now. But yes, if you do want to see more pipe band coverage, then we need help. So yeah, we're putting the call out now. If you do want to help us, we would gladly have it received. There you are. Alrighty, that email address doesn't change. bigrabshow@gmail.com. Okay, well, you guessed it. At this point in the show, it's time for me to get a wee break, but I'll be right back. Of course, get your pen and paper ready. It's time for Dates for Your Diary.
Whether you play to entertain or perform to compete, it's not always easy to find the highest quality instruments and accessories that hold the keys to success from a single source. That's why pipers and drummers everywhere rely on Scott Curry Music as their one-stop pipe band shop. We supply only the world's finest bagpipe brands, including Duncan McRae, McCallum, R.G. Hardy and Company, Peter Henderson, R.T. Shepherd, Wallace Bagpipes, and not forgetting the revolutionary Blair Digital Chanter. Scott Curry Music is also home to many of the most sought-after pipe band percussion brands, such as Acoustic, Andante, British Drum Company, Hardcase, Jim Kilpatrick Percussion, Pearl, Tie Fry, and many more. And remember, as the industry-leading pioneer of custom drumhead production for pipe bands, our unparalleled experience in creating professional drumhead designs is why many of the world's top performers trust Scott Curry Music to help them stand out from the crowd with stunning state-of-the-art factory-printed drumheads by Evans and Remo. With a proven history for super deals, being well-stocked, and consistently delivering fast service, it's no surprise that Scott Curry Music is the first choice for thousands of happy customers worldwide. So, what are you waiting for? Call our North Lanarkshire showroom today or visit us online at scottcurryltd.com to learn more and shop now for everything you need from Scott Curry Music, the world's local pipe band shop.
It's time for Dates for Your Diary here on the Big Rab Show podcast.
Yes, indeed. Time for Dates for Your Diary, so pen and paper at the ready. Let's get into it. Well, this weekend we have a competition in Inverleithen, first of all, 1st of June, And yeah, it has grades all from novice, from 4A, 4B, and all the way up through 3 and 2. So no grade 1 on the day, but Inverleithen's shaping up to be quite a cool competition there, actually. So we'll be keeping across that. Yeah, also this weekend is the Mid-Ulster Championships in Cookstown. And we've got quite a number of bands in action at that. So yeah, I think we've talked about it already. But definitely, Mid-Ulster Championships is going to be a highlight here of the Northern Ireland calendar so far. So looking forward to that in Cookstown. Also on the 1st of June, we have the Milwaukee Highland Games. Yes, that'll be in Milwaukee in Wisconsin, June 1st. And again, a plethora of bands entered for this, shaping up to be quite a cool competition, that. So, yeah, we'll update you next week on the results. Moving on, we have the 2nd of June, we have Mark Inch and Girvan, both happening there in Scotland. Again, loads of bands enter for both of those, actually, so yeah, a lot of great competition there. Then, of course, we are looking forward to the 8th of June next week, the British Championships in Forres. And no doubt we'll unpack that in next week's show as we are previewing it. But that's a date for your diary right there. British Championships, Forres, 8th of June. Also then on the 9th of June, we have a competition in Ardrossan. Yeah, so in case you haven't got enough piping action in Forres, you can go the next day to Ardrossan. Yeah. Then on June 14th and 15th, we have the Chicago Highland Games. Yes, this has been held in Wheaton in Illinois, of course. And the Chicago Games, as we were talking about earlier in the show, the prize money on offer there is just ridiculous. So definitely worthy checking out if you're in that area. Also, on the 15th of June, we have the Pacific Rim Solo Drumming Championship. Now, this is part of the Scott Fest and the BC Highland Games, all of that kind of stuff. And that's a very exciting addition to what's now known as the solo snare drumming circuit. And yeah, those all important champion-to-champion points. Yeah, then rolling in through the rest of June, we have a competition in Ayr on the 15th of June. We have Colchester on the 16th of June. Also on the 16th, we have Aberdeen and Edinburgh. So, yeah, 3 competitions on the same day. Spoiled for choice. And then, rolling up towards the end of June, we have the Loch Orr competition on the 22nd of June. We have the Oceania Solo Drumming Championship in Christchurch in New Zealand. Again, part of that solo drumming circuit, and that's on the 29th of June. And then, also on the 29th of June, we have the Antrim and Newton Abbey Championships, which is taking place in Antrim Town. There you are. Tons of dates for your diary. That brings you all the way up to the end of June. There you go. So, were you taking notes? Don't worry, it's a podcast. You can press rewind if you need to. But failing that, it'll be back again next week. And if there's any dates and stuff that you would like us to highlight on this bit of the show, then please do email us in. bigrabshow@gmail.com. That address again, bigrabshow@gmail.com. And we'll bring those dates for our diary. Alrighty, well, I think at this point, folks, you've waited long enough. Yeah, I think it's time for me to finally go and get a big cup of tea. It's time for the topic of the week.
Wallace Bagpipes. Quality, pride and passion. Made in Scotland. Proud bagpipe supplier to the Red Hot Chili Pipers. Visit wallacebagpipes.com for more information or contact your nearest dealer.
Hello, this is Fred Morrison and you're listening to the Big Rab Show.
Okay, you've waited this long for topic of the week and we're going to take a break from competitive bagpiping for a little while. Seems to be our show has been very much focused on the world of competitive bagpiping now. For what seems like weeks and months now. But time to take a break from all that. You might have guessed by the title of this week's episode, we're going to be catching up with Piper Ali. It's been quite a while since we've had Ali on the show, and yeah, she's been incredibly busy, touring all across the United States, and she's got some future plans that you may want to pay attention to. Ali's got some really exciting things happening in the next few months, and yeah, I dare say you guys will definitely want to pay attention to this. So, let's welcome Ali back to the show. So, welcome to the podcast, or should I say, welcome back to the podcast, Piper Ali. How are you, Ali? Are you well?
I'm doing really great. Thank you so much for having me back.
You're very welcome. Well, it's been a while since we've caught up to you, Bill, for various different reasons, but I suppose the biggest reason is that you've been out on tour. I don't know, for this last, I don't know, how long? How long has it been now?
It's been over a year of pretty regular touring. And I'm still touring my solo show all through the entire summer, but I have a short gap. I have a
Yeah.
couple weeks before my next show.
Just a little bit of respite in between. Yeah. So you've been touring both solo and also with, is it Maya as well? Touring with her as well? Yeah.
Yeah, I'm touring with the duo project for a little while as well.
And how have you found that, the reaction of audiences to the duet particularly?
The reaction was really great. We initially started doing that because neither of us had done any touring from social media beforehand, and getting out into live audiences. So it was a bit of a safer way for us to get out and start touring so we could split the finances, split the bill,
There you go.
and our forces on social media to try and sell tickets better. And we sold out the first tour ever. We sold out a bunch of shows on our following 3 tours. And so it really gave us both a healthy platform to start touring our own solo projects as well. So the reaction is better than we could have ever imagined.
There you go. Yeah. So I don't know, like the fiddle fans listening to bagpipes and then the piping fans listening to fiddle music as well. It's kind of got that weird kind of juxtapose where you can discover new music through it almost. Yeah.
Absolutely.
That's it.
Yeah.
So it's been really viral and very popular. Why do you think that is? Even with piping fans, I love listening to it as well. Why do you think that is?
I think it's just, it feels familiar still because a lot of the stuff that we had done together was covers. And a lot of the stuff that we're still doing, even solo, is covers. And so there's a familiarity to it, but it puts a spin on it that kind of like, I don't know, lands in your niche.
Yeah.
And I think the sound, the way that it's all balanced is very cool. And at least for me, like having a lot of energy in it and having a lot of like musical intricacies is very important when I'm like recording into a track. And so I try to make it entertaining to listen to regardless of what point in the track you are. And so I think you can hear that and you can hear the passion for music within it as well. And then the shows, I mean, there's just so much energy.
Absolutely. Now, I have to ask you about a move that some bagpipers have tried now. Now, I'm not going to out them, but they have tried your move and they now have permanent back problems. They've tried to do, you know, the backwards lean that you do.
Yeah.
How? That you must do training or something for that.
So it's actually a fun little superpower. I have a connective tissue disorder called Ehlers-Danlos syndrome.
Oh, right.
And it causes me to be hypermobile. And so all of my joints kind of bend back a little bit further than they're supposed to.
Oh my goodness, yeah.
And that honestly, it makes the back bend super easy. I was a really talented gymnast when I was a child.
There you go.
I'm just super flexible, so I can do the back bend really easily.
Yeah, I'm not going to out the person, but they are in their 40s and have been piping now for about 20 years and thought, I'm going to try that, and did the backwards lean and then nearly ended in an ambulance. It's very funny whenever I read that email.
Don't try it at home.
No, you should put like a disclaimer up. Don't try this at home. Yeah. But this last while, you've been really taking bagpiping to a whole new level this last while. Obviously, for those who follow you on social media, you're bound to have heard all the tracks and stuff that you've been working on. But, you know, that like Crazy Train, for example, the Ozzy Osbourne track, I have to say, the production value on your video is incredible. It's just amazing.
Thank you. I got to work with a friend of mine who I used to work with. I starred in his short films when we were in college together, and I just did regular short film acting. And so he is based out of Pittsburgh, and I was performing in Pittsburgh at the time of the video shoot. And so he reached out and he said, hey, I want to try making a music video, not just cinema. And I was like, I want to make a music video. And so we spent so long. It was amazing to work with him and the rest of his team. And his name's Peter Regan, but
Shout out, Peter. Yep.
So yeah, he was the director for the project, and it was, I think, 16 hours of filming.
Oh wow!
To the 3-minute video. So we definitely put the work in.
There you go. Yeah,
and it's hard to film outside as well because you're fighting the sun, you're fighting the wind. We were using smoke and fog machines, so that was a challenge outdoors. So yeah, it was no small feat, but I could not be happier with how the music video turned out on that one.
It really is fantastic. For anyone who hasn't watched it yet, please do go and watch it. But there's something in the video I've been wanting to ask you about. All right. Now, I know you've got a great sense of humor, but there's a one particular bit in the video where you're kind of doing this look over your shoulder. And I said, how did you do that without laughing? You know, do you kind of look over and go,
Well,
you're bound to crack up.
that was not the only take.
Oh, right. Okay. All right.
But I have a huge challenge because I used to do when I started doing like photography and acting and things like that, I would do a completely different, like you never look at the camera. You don't break the fourth wall.
No. Yeah.
So that was a challenge for me because there were several points where the director was like, look at the camera, like right on the camera. And I was like, oh no. So yeah, it was challenging. But honestly, I think just like the quick motion and like leaning over the shoulder and things like that, you're kind of like caught in it. You get used to it after a few takes.
There you go.
But
Yeah. So there maybe was one or two that hit the cutting room floor where you were cracking up. Yeah.
One or two.
So well, I have to say, I know I'm going to really blow your ego up here now, but this last while we've been getting a lot of reports to the show specifically saying that you are definitely a very inspirational figure and responsible for a lot of young women lifting the instrument again. You know, maybe they've set it down for a period of time, but after watching your videos, for example, they go, you know, I want to have another go at that. Have you ever heard of that being reported to yourself directly?
That is hearing that it comes through the show, like that genuinely means a lot. I have gotten, it happens after shows, I'll get a couple of emails, especially because I take the time at my solo shows to like go out and meet the audience as well. And so I always jump off stage and give high fives to the kids who are the fans. But yeah, through meet and greet lines, through seeing people at shows, I've definitely had a lot of young girls come up and they'll have me sign their practice chanters and things like that. And being somebody who started as like a young woman themselves, that really means a lot. I sought out a lot of that representation when I was starting, and a lot of the people who I had access to were a bit older than I was, and so it really feels special to be able to take part of that space and be part of that inspiration for people to pick up. It's amazing. I love this instrument so much.
Yeah, it does go a long way, absolutely, because I know a lot of folk would look up to the Red Hot Chili Peppers as being inspirational, playing a lot of bag rock and modern piping, but they're all fellas. You know what I mean? They're all guys. And then, but to see yourself up there rocking out with the best of them, like you actually joined the Chili's on stage not too long ago.
Yeah. I opened for them. It was my first show ever, my first live show ever, as a social media persona. And then it was the last show on their US tour last year. And so we opened for them and it was amazing. And we got to play some encores with them. And then we also joined, they're not bagpipers, but Talisk is another group. A duo headliner show with them this past February. Yeah. So it was just
So I don't know. It's honestly, I think fantastic work. Please keep it up. You are definitely inspiring a new generation of bagpipers for sure. So yeah, we're huge fans. So I have to ask you then, plans for the future. We've just heard, well, at the very beginning of this interview, we played a very quick clip that listeners may not have heard yet, because I'm sure all of our piping fans would not be French core dance music fans. Yeah, tell us about this track with Dr. Peacock. What is this?
So Dr. Peacock is a Frenchcore artist, and Frenchcore is a subgenre of like really hardcore techno music that has come out of the Netherlands and Germany. Yeah. And it's a very unique style of electronic music. It's probably the hardest.
Yeah,
like in terms of like, you know, how hard it goes.
Thump. Yeah.
It's a lot, but it moves your whole body. I had never heard Frenchcore specifically before getting introduced to Dr. Peacock, but I am a fan, rest assured. One of my favorites, aside from Trip to Scotland, is Trip to Ireland, and it's great. Like they had some really amazing instrumentalists on that track as well, so you can go listen to Trip to Ireland also.
There you go.
But I was reached out to on social media by one of the composers who works with Dr. Peacock. His name is Sasha. He reached out to me and asked if I would be interested in guest appearing on this track. And I said, yeah, absolutely. So we got on a writing session together. And so we wrote the part together so that it fit into the key and the genre. And then sent some stems and track samples over to Dr. Peacock, Steve. And then we all got on a call together. Time differences were great in all of this.
Yeah, I'm sure.
And I was able to record remote. So I recorded right upstairs from where I am right now, which is where I record all of my music, and just sent the tracks over. But I think we had 3 meetings and built the entire song in 3 meetings.
Wow.
And I sent them all the files and said, okay, go make it.
Go for it. Yeah.
They did. And then they tried to fly me out to Scotland so that they could film the music video. But it did not work with my schedule. We could not make it work out. And so I actually filmed my portion of the music video in the Netherlands.
Oh, wow. Right.
So this song debuted in December of 2023, and they had to fly out to the Netherlands to perform at the debut, which was an 8-hour-long rave.
Yeah, I did see some of the video clips of this. It seemed to be like a huge dance festival, and then suddenly you were on stage, and everyone was like looking, going, what is happening right now?
It was huge. So the rave was massive. I just played one song and got to be there for the rest of it. And I filmed the music video earlier that day outside of the venue, which was a huge venue. I think like 5,000 people or something like that. It was pretty large. They dropped balloons twice. Like it was big. And I didn't know that this was happening, but I got on stage and they had LED screens all over the back of the stage. And the entire song, they flashed clips from what we had just filmed a couple hours earlier.
Oh, wow.
Just me all over the screens. And I was right up against them, so I couldn't see that. So I had no idea until I was watching clips online later that night. And I was like, I'm on this.
That's me.
It was wild. And then, of course, they included pieces of that into the music video as well. So you can see parts of that live show. But it was magical. I was in the Netherlands, though, for less time than I was actually at the airport to get there and get home.
There you go. Definitely a flying visit, but it's taking bagpiping in a new direction, Ali. If you don't mind me saying, you're not a little bit afraid to take risks. You know, you're not stuck in that has to be a hornpipe jig, has to be an MSR. You're very willing to try new genres. Yeah.
I absolutely love that. I love the flexibility and the freedom that I've found within the bagpipes for myself. Like it's always been there. But I grew up in the competitive circle. And so that was very much bred into me was, like it has to be this way. But something happened with the break in the pandemic and I just went for it. I am definitely not afraid to take risks and to try new things. And that's going to be reflected in some of the future projects that I'm starting to work on, which is really great.
Ooh, there, I have to get into that now. I'm going to have to ask you now. I'm going to shine a torch in your face. So tell me about future plans then. Obviously, you're now home for a little bit before heading back out again for more gigs. But yeah, what are you working on? What do we have on the horizon?
So I have some original music that I'm in the middle of recording, which is really great. And I don't really know how to like categorize it. I'm just writing it. I've started working on using guitar effects pedals with the pipes. So I'm playing through and running that through effects pedals. I was doing that on tour and I've been doing that at my live shows. It's subtle for now. Kind of workshopping it a little bit, but I've got some like distortion going through them and reverb and fun.
Oh, that could be cool. Yeah. Love that.
So that will be reflected in some of my newer music that I'm releasing. And I'm also starting a separate project where I'm going to work in the progressive metal world. And so like different time signatures and things like that. And the goal is to marry that, the progressive rock sound, a progressive metal sound, with traditional piping. So it'll go from some crazy time signatures and then you're in like a hornpipe.
Oh man, what? No,
It'll move
yeah, I
together.
love the sound of that. Yeah,
I
because
want to marry the two worlds that I've been working in.
absolutely love prog rock. There's so many big bands that I am a huge fan of. For that reason, is that they can really change on a, on a click of a finger. You could be on one signature and then you're away somewhere else. So introducing pipes to that. Oh,
Yeah,
Ali. Yeah.
excited. And then different tonalities and things like that as well. I'm super excited for. I've been using some chromatics and some like half fingerings and things like that a lot more frequently in my playing as well. And I think that's developed a lot of like more of my unique sound. And so I'm hoping to continue doing that.
There you go. Oh, well, you'll have to keep us posted on that for sure. Yeah. And we'll let all our listeners know exactly where to go and hear that whenever it drops. So then tell me then, any gigs aplenty then across the rest of the US? Any other plans?
I have a bunch of things lined up. I just played at a NASCAR race, which was crazy.
That's right. I remember seeing the photos from that. That looked nuts. So it did.
Yeah. It was wild, and they were really receptive and really nice. And so hopefully I'll be back doing more NASCAR races, which would be great. I have some Highland Games and Irish festivals across the US that I'm doing. I'm heading to Alaska, and I've never been to Alaska, so that's
Wow.
going to and
That'll be
then
interesting playing pipes in Alaska, though. That'll be a new set of challenges right there. Yeah.
but I've been starting to work with Yori Chisholm at Tone Protectors.
Oh, yes.
That has been a big game changer. Because when I was on tour this last time, the elevation changes were
Oh,
huge.
yeah, of course.
And so the tone protectors helped a lot with keeping things stable from night to night. So I'm hoping that I can kind of have that same experience when I'm flying to Alaska. I have a couple other further away gigs potentially coming over out of the US
Ooh, I like the sound of that.
country called Scotland, maybe.
Yeah.
We're working on that, working on that.
Well, we'll have to wait and see. Any further announcements, of course, we'll let our listeners know, of course.
Oh,
Yeah,
I'll blast that information everywhere.
absolutely. Yeah, and we'll let folks know where to go and see you. So, can I ask, before we let you go, the last time we were chatting with you, you did talk about that you were doing like a lot of online tuition and work with the local pipe band and stuff. Are you still involved in, teaching and working with competitive players?
I am for right now. So I still have a core group of my private students. I stopped taking new students on, so it's just the people who I've been working with through the pandemic, which has been a challenge of its own because we've never met in real life for instruction. So
Oh, goodness. Yeah.
they're playing pipes and they're playing marches and jigs and doing all of that from an entirely virtual experience.
Wow.
It's kind of
Yeah.
a case study, but they're doing great. And then I am still working with the pipe band, the youth band, but I'm actually going to be not working with them going forward because I'm moving. So,
Oh, I see. Oh, there you go. So you're
but
moving geographically, but you might find another band. You never know.
of course, and then I've had a few bands reach out who live near the places where I'm going on my solo shows and asking if I can come in just to do a little pop in with
I
their
see.
group. So I'm thinking I'll start doing some of that as well because even though I'm not going to be teaching the pipe band every single week, it still feels really important to me to stay connected within the community in some way or another.
Yeah.
It helps me, it helps everybody. It helps me a lot to stay connected and it's a skill of itself to teach fundamentals. So I never really want to fully let that go.
I'm very glad you said that. We did a recent interview actually with Ross Miller, who said the exact same thing. I did ask him, why does he continue to compete with Inverary when he's now a full-time chili piper? And he said, because he needs that kind of push to continue practicing and wanting to excel and all of that. So very much for yourself then, to continue to teach is to keep that skill available to you, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah, I still have a select few piano students, and I do that for the same reason. I'm not pursuing piano as a career. I think it's important to stay connected to the foundation like that.
Yeah.
Because teaching, regardless of what anybody says, teaching is the best way to know if you've perfected your craft or not. Because if you can't teach it to somebody, you can't verbalize that and help somebody else understand how you think about music and how you think about what you're doing, then you don't understand it fully yourself still.
I see. I love that. That's a real good way of looking at it. Yeah, absolutely. And do you know, well, here, full disclaimer, do you know the video you made about how bagpipes work? I've actually sent that to a few people who don't understand it. And I'm like, here, I don't have time to explain it. Watch Ali's video. And here, so yeah, that's been really useful.
I'm glad. I was hoping it would be useful, and maybe people stop telling me I'm faking it.
There you go as well. Yeah, people don't understand that you can actually take a breath, take the blowpipe out, and actually, yeah, I don't know. There you go. Anyway, don't do that in the competition circle, though. Anyway, that's it. So they'll all start doing back bends now in the circle. Yeah, that'd be strange. Anyway.
He turns around, they bend inward.
That could work. Yeah, there you go. Ali, I have to say, I'm going to let you go at this point. But again, a huge thank you for joining us on the show this week. And please let us know about any upcoming dates and appearances and stuff, especially internationally. And we'll certainly let our listeners know where to catch up with you. Yeah.
Of course. Thank you so much for having me again. It's always a pleasure to be here.
No problem. Thanks very much. Thanks.
Thanks so much to Piper Ali there for joining us on the show. And as you heard there, Piper Ali does have plans to, appear here in the UK. And for those of you who are fans of Ali, you've probably already seen the announcements. She's going to be appearing at Piping Live. Yeah. Now, as to what those appearances will be, we're not 100% certain just yet. They haven't been fully announced. But there has been little talk about possibly some workshops, some recitals even, stuff like that. So, some pretty exciting stuff ahead there for Piper Ali fans. So a huge thank you for Ali for joining us on the show this week. Yeah, it's just awesome to have her on the show. Right. So that was a welcome break away from talking about competitive piping and drumming for a little while. But I have no doubt that on next week's show, normal service shall be resumed because, we might have mentioned it once or twice, but there's a huge major championship happening next week. Anyway, all right, that'll happen on next week's show. We'll get into all of the detail about the British Championships. All right. Well, as for this weekend, we're heading for the Mid-Ulster Championships in Cookstown. So, to everyone who's going to be hitting the grass in Cookstown, the very best of luck to all of you. I will see you all there, of course. And keep in mind, again, I will be wearing a uniform. I'll be competing this weekend. So, that kind of threw people off at the UK's. They were saying, "Oh, Rob, I didn't see you there." So, yeah, I was there. It just wasn't wearing my usual hoodie and jeans. Keep an eye out. You might spy me this weekend in Cookstown at the Mid-Ulsters. And to everyone competing on the grass, no matter where you are, even if it isn't in Cookstown, if it's around the world, of course, and in Verleithen and, of course, other competitions in the States, too many to mention. Yeah, good luck to all of you. Have a good tune, and we will catch up with you back again next week for even more bagpipe and goodness. So, until then, we'll see you then. All the best. Well, that's it for another Big Rab Show podcast. Thanks so much for downloading this week, and a special thank you to our sponsor, G1 Reeds. Played by bands around the world, they are the champion's choice. Check out g1reeds.com for all of your piping needs. Don't forget to check out thebigrabshow.com to be kept up to date with all of the latest news and views from around the piping world. And also, check us out on Patreon. For $5 a month, you can get your hands on tons of extra piping goodness and be a part of the Patreon faithful. So, until next week, folks, we'll see you right here on the Big Rab Show podcast. All the best.